welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to give my spoiler-free, at least for today, spoiler-free review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I'm going to start off, I'm going to be a bit different here, because this movie is an interesting movie to review for me. First of all, if I had to give it, I'm going to start off up the top by giving you what my actual score would be for the movie. And I'm leaning somewhere between a solid 8 and an 8.5. The movie wasn't quite as great as I hoped it would be. It ended up being a very good, unique sequel to the original film. And what I mean by that is, this movie is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most unique movie in the MCU. There's no doubt in my mind, I feel real comfortable saying that. It makes what Eternals did look tame in comparison. Because this movie is so Sam Raimi. I mean, it is dripping Sam Raimi. I mean, Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell, the old school Spider-Man movies. Like, it is dripping Sam Raimi. Like, there are horror elements in this movie. Now, it's not quite as bad. It's not like super bad, but there are very hard horror elements in this movie. This movie is the most violent. I'd probably say this is the most violent movie in the MCU. Some of the imagery can be real dark. Like, there are some real fucking dark imagery. I'm telling you. Like, there's some imagery in this that might scare the shit out of your kids. I don't really want to spoil, like I said, I don't want to spoil anything in this review, so it might not be a very long review, but overall, the performances are great. I love Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, particularly in this movie for obvious reasons. Love Benedict Cumberbatch, love Benedict Wong, love the new girl playing American Chavez. Like, all of these characters, all the top tier poster actors brought their A game to this film. They did a great job in the movie. Some of the most unique and imaginative action sequences in the MCU so far. Minor spoiler alert, there's a scene where Doctor Strange is throwing actual, like, he animates note keys off of a sheet of music and throws it at someone. And they're like razor blades, like they're just note keys. And when he throws them, they make the sound of the notes. So it's like he's throwing music at a guy. It's some insane shit. There's some insane shit in this movie, okay? There's some crazy out there shit in this movie. A lot of out there shit. Very unique. You watch this movie, and for a moment there, you forget you're watching an MCU film, because Sam Raimi is just so all over this. The camera, the work, the shots, even the way New York looks. I'm telling you, there is, like, when you look at some shots in this movie, you'll swear you're watching the 2002 or old Spider-Man movies, because some of the shots and some of the way that the New York is depicted looks like that old school Spider-Man, like Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It looks kind of like it. Like, if you're not paying attention, you could be fooled in believing this takes place in that world. Like, this is a movie that's full of so many spoilers, and like I said, I didn't want to give a spoiler review right off the top. I just kind of wanted to get something out really quick, just kind of give my thoughts on the movie. And the movie just came out, and I don't really want to get into the spoilers because there's so many spoilers. A lot of them have leaked online, but there are some that caught me off guard. Particularly, there are two characters that show up, one in the movie and one in the post-credit scene that I did not see coming. That I was like, what? Okay. It's something that, like, I don't know how many people are even going to remember one of these characters, but it was cool seeing him for when he shows up. But I digress. Now, the movie is not perfect. It's not as great as I hoped it would be. And it's funny. The last couple superhero movies I've seen, Eternals and the Batman, my biggest complaints about those films were that it's just too much time. Like, they're too long. Like, they're just too long for me. And, like, especially, like, in the Batman and Eternals, felt like Eternals did something unique, because Eternals felt like it was a little too long and not enough at the same time, which I was like, yeah, maybe this should have been just like a Disney Plus show, a 6-part Disney Plus show, give it a nice budget, and you just do it this way. But, whereas the Batman felt like everything that was in, I can't tell you what, like, everything that was in this movie is very good, but this movie needed to be 20 minutes shorter. 20 to 25 minutes shorter. And if you remember what I said they could have just cut Catwoman out of the movie and saved themselves at least 20 minutes of screen, 20 minutes to 25 minutes of the movie, because I didn't think she was actually a necessary component to the plot. Like, that's something that could have been easily removed. But this movie, Doctor Strange, is the opposite. I think there could have been 20 minutes added to this film. There are more stuff they could have done with America Chavez, because while they do touch upon her origins and touch upon the tragedy of it, and you know that indicates how she feels and why she feels the way she feels, the problem is they really don't sit on it. They don't really sit with it. You know, like, you don't really get to see, like, it'd be cool to see more of that. Now, granted, it's the MCU, and one of the perks of having a cinematic universe is that threads that weren't picked up, threads that should have been more elaborated on, can easily be picked up in a sequel or another show or movie. So it's one of those things where, like, while I think that they should have been able to do more with it in this film, they might can get back to it. Also, I will say, like, everything in this movie could have used more room to breathe. Like I said, it's a very strange thing to me, because everything, as far as I'm concerned, I had a blast with this movie. This movie's a very damn good movie. It's a damn good sequel. But I feel like this movie's gonna fall in the same category with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, with Iron Man 3, with Ant-Man and the Wasp, as movies that are very good and really good follow-ups. Really good follow-ups to the original movie. They still, like, it's not like this is like a massive letdown and it's like, oh, I saw the original. You know, like, I don't feel like anyone saw the original Ant-Man and saw Ant-Man and the Wasp was like, this was a massive letdown. You were just like, well, it wasn't as good as this, but it's still very good, and I still think they picked up all those threads. And this movie in particular is unique because it's so different than the original Doctor Strange that it's almost not really even a sequel to it, almost. You know what I mean? And in that way, it has more in common with Iron Man 3, because I don't know if you guys have ever seen, because I'm sure most of you have seen Iron Man 3, but if you watch Iron Man 1 and you watch Iron Man 3, you can just tell that they're made by totally different people, because Shane Black is all over Iron Man 3. I think Iron Man 3 is a great movie. I think Iron Man 3 is a damn good movie, and it's very underappreciated. And it's a very much a Shane Black movie. And it is very interesting that if you really go back through the MCU, every time they've allowed a director to do their own thing completely and utterly, it hasn't really worked out. Not completely, because like I said, the Shane Black thing with Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is a Shane Black movie, and I dug it for that. Because I like Shane Black. I like the Lethal Weapon. You know, I like Lethal Weapons and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. But like, the thing about it is, a lot of people didn't like the vibe. A lot of people weren't down with it. And same thing applies here with Doctor Strange. Is your mileage really varies on how much you like Sam Raimi. If you're a huge Sam Raimi fan, oh, you're gonna have a blast with this movie. This movie might be the best movie in the MCU's ever produced. But if you're not completely a Sam Raimi fan, I'm not sure how you're gonna feel about this movie. Because the entire time I was watching this movie, I had to remove my fandom. I had to remove my fandom, my knowledge, and all that I know, and take a step back and go, what if I didn't know these things? And I have to admit, out of all the MCU movies, this movie doesn't do a very great job at explaining things so that you don't have to know it already. I've often said, like, people always talk about how the MCU, oh, it can be overwhelming for people because people can't watch everything. But the MCU's cure to that has always been that they write the movies or whatnot in such a way to which if you know, then you're rewarded, but if you don't know, then they kind of just give you like a Cliff Notes, kind of catch you up on the events. This movie really doesn't do that. This movie really does kind of go, did you see Spider-Man? And did you see WandaVision? Did you see Endgame? Did you see Infinity War? If you haven't seen any of this shit, if you're just someone who casually watches MCU stuff, then you might be a tad bit lost here, because they really don't give a fuck. Like, and it's like, it's the most aggressive of not giving a fuck I've seen the MCU with their own canon with like this. Whereas, like, I'm not quite sure how, like some of the, like, maybe people still get some great enjoyment out of it with the special effects and whatnot and the scares, but like, I'm telling you, like, this movie doesn't do as great of a job as other MCU movies at bringing people who haven't watched previous things along with it. If you're in the know like me, if you're someone who's watched all the MCU shit, then all this is just water on the bridge. You're gonna keep up with this easy, just bam, bam, bam. You know why this person is doing what they're doing. You got it. But if you haven't watched all this stuff, you might be a little lost in certain parts. You might really, especially if you're someone who just like hasn't watched any of the Disney Plus stuff and just watched the movies, you're really gonna be lost. But I digress, you know. Other than that, you know, there are decisions made with certain characters that I don't like disagree with, but I'm just like, I wish they would have done this. But overall, I had a good time with this movie. I had a great time. No, scratch that. I had a great time with this movie. The theater was packed. I had a great time with it. It was funny. Had some of like the most unique action set pieces in the MCU to date. Great performances, particularly from Elizabeth Olsen. And you know, the post-credit scene sets up the future of Doctor Strange and whatever he's doing. Not a lot of setup for like the future of the MCU, because like by the time the movie comes to an end, I had always had the theories that like, oh well, this is gonna like completely wrap up this whole multiverse thing and it's not gonna be a thing. But they really don't do that, actually. Like, I don't want to spoil what happens in the end, but it really doesn't wrap it up. Like, by the time this movie wraps up, the multiverse is very much still a thing. It's just, don't want to spoil anything. Anyways, I give this movie, you know what? I'll give it a solid 8. I think an 8 to 8.5. I'm leaning towards 8.5, but I feel like that's just the fan in me. But as a movie, as the movie itself is, it's still a very good movie, still a great sequel. It wasn't as great as I thought it was gonna be, if that makes any sense. It turned out to be very, very good. I thought it was gonna be like top tier Captain America, Winter Soldier, top Captain America, Civil War, Endgame, Infinity War, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther. I thought it was Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought it was gonna be in the upper echelon of the MCU. It's not there. Not there. Not quite. It's in the, like I said, it's in the same category with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Iron Man 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Let me think. Ant-Man and the Wasp, probably in the same category with it's probably like with the original Doctor Strange. Like, it's like in terms of the quality of the movie, but the impact is massive. The impact is huge. But that's my review. That's my review. I give this an 8.5. Thank you guys for joining the Comic Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Comment below. Try to be not as spoilery in the comment section. The movie did just come out, like, I don't know, today, like maybe 5 hours ago. Anyways, thank you guys again. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.